from the Echo Network Studios here in Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Odd Musings, and we are your hosts. I'm Brett Pinson, the creator of Boomtown Scabs, The Adventures of Carl, and The Expendables, along with
Scott Zambelli, creator of Emmanuel God With Us, Bible-based comic book, and realtor extraordinary out of Shelby Township, Michigan, with Keller Williams Realty Lakeside.
There you go.
Gotta give that plug for myself.
Selling homes.
And in studio, we have an awesome in-studio guest with us, live.
Fellow Detroiter.
Better than the alternative, dead.
Of course, you're a fellow Detroiter by way of the up north, backbound by Detroit, all around. So Jeff Sornig's here with us. Yeah.
We need that canned
here we go.
Laughter. There you go.
I'll clap. For those who don't know, Jeff is we're gonna be talking about his life as a Marine, going to Nickelodeon, comic book, cartoony stuff, and all kinds of fun stuff. He's back in Detroit for a while, so we asked him to come and hang out with us today, and he said, "Fine, I'll come out." He goes, "Can I talk heavy metal?" We're like, "Yes."
He's like, "I can draw with a pen and kill you 100 ways with it."
Let me move my pen over here. I don't want him drawing in front of me.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I messaged you a couple weeks ago and asked you to come on, and once you were all settled back in after your trek across the country and all that, and then we saw you this past weekend at the Great Lakes Comic Con. You were out hanging out as a fan.
I want to say thank you to Mike for Mike DeSantis, who puts on the Great Lakes Comic Con. Did a great job this year.
Yeah, him and his wife Amy. They run a great show.
Every year it gets better.
Help out with them. And
every year it gets better, and they do such a great job. And they're one of those few promoters out there that still care how we do at the show.
Yes.
How the vendors and artists who he's promoting do. So thank you, Mike. You do a top job with that show, and I look forward to next year already.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And then I didn't bring him in studio, but I got Carl last weekend, my new Carl puppet.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were supposed to bring Carl.
Well, I was going to, but I need to get a box for him for transportation because I want to make sure nothing happens to him.
Or is Carl mourning the death of his namesake in another show?
I don't know.
Wow, spoiler alert.
Everyone knew that since the last season. Does that count as a spoiler?
Well, mid-season finale. What happened? Oh, he got bit. Is he going to die? Yes.
Well, not only that, but they spoiled it themselves by announcing they fired Chandler Riggs and that he was done. So it's okay, I guess we know he won't survive.
I watched the episode. I don't want to get into too much on the episode because I thought it was way drawn out for what they did.
Oh, I thought it was awful.
Number two is then you see the live part, and poor Chandler's got to sit next to the guy that fired him.
Well, technically it was Scott Gimple. That's where the beef is. Chandler's dad came out and publicly said a lot against Scott Gimple.
Yeah.
Who he's the showrunner, I believe, for
he oversees everything.
Yeah, because long story short, without getting too in depth, because they had talks with them about Chandler's employment there because he wanted to go to college. So they actually put off college for him because the understanding was he was coming back again.
They said, we got plans for you for the next 2 years.
Right. And then they completely changed and it blindsided him.
Yeah.
So
literally, I think it was like, here's the script. What do you mean I get bit?
Yeah. So, and I remember Chandler from way back when, when he first started Comic Cons at the Pittsburgh Comic Con. If I remember correct, because I've talked to his dad many times over the years, because he was sitting right across from me. And at the time, he's this little kid. And the whole time I kept looking at his dad going, I don't recognize that guy. What celebrity is that? And I kept looking at the dad. And then finally, after a few hours, I'm looking at the kid. I'm like, wait a minute. That's the kid from Walking Dead. Because it had only been out for a little bit.
Yeah, it was the one season.
Yeah. So, and that was the year we lost power at the Pittsburgh Comic Con. And so when I talked to them, I'm like, I'm the one that was sitting with you when the power went. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know you. So my daughter's gotten to meet Chandler Riggs a few times. He's always been a great kid.
I've met him a few times over the years. It's been a couple years since I've seen him at shows, but he now is real busy. Back then, it was like he could walk to the show and nobody would care.
Right.
And because it was like one season, even to the second season. In fact, the joke was when he wasn't at his table the second season, he goes, "Where's Carl?" He wasn't in the show. Same way. He's like, "Carl disappeared again."
So I'm sure he'll be fine though.
He's an excellent actor, and I think he's got a career ahead of him, regardless of what he decides to do.
And he finally got to cut his hair.
Yeah. So that was funny. He was like, I looked at him and go, "Wow, he cut his hair right away."
Yeah. So
you're definitely not coming back.
Yeah, that's that exactly.
So we got off from Great Lakes Comic-Con to Carl because of my Carl the Rabbit.
Yeah, so you got, and that was by Rebecca.
From the Ruppets, yeah. I'll be posting an interview video with her later this week.
Yeah, she did an amazing job on that puppet.
Yeah, he's all furry.
Now, what was hilarious was when Brett received this puppet, he turned into a 6-year-old instantly, and all weekend.
Let's get it right. I was 4.5.
This whole other side of Brett I've never seen just came out, and he was so giddy all weekend, which was a good thing. I'm not saying that as a bad thing.
I know.
So, and it was great because Brett was next to me. He was my booth neighbor, and these little kids they lit up when Brett was doing his Carl voice. Which he's got to work on because his voice was going by the end of the day. So you got to do something.
Well, my voice was already strained anyways from having been sick last week.
But those kids would light up when you were talking with the puppet to them.
Well, I had the one little girl towards the end of the show, and her mom said that she was happy for one thing, and that was like hours ago. She sees Carl, and I started talking to her as Carl, and she only talked to Carl in that, and she just lit up and had a blast, was giving Carl high fives and asking him questions.
Right.
And Mom and Dad were just super excited. They didn't spend any money, though, but hey.
Although I don't think Connie, the Comic-Con mom, was excited for
No. She liked Carl.
No, I know.
She enjoyed it. She laughed.
No, I was joking that
my mom, whenever I do stuff like that, and I'm being really goofy, especially like when I was with Carl, stuff like that, she always rolls her eyes. No, although she should be used to it after 47 years of knowing me.
But no, what I was referring to is I was referencing how she's going to start waking up, and Carl was going to be in her bedroom staring at her. Like wherever she appears, Carl's there. Be like the Puppet Master movie or something. I don't know.
You're like, hi, I'm Carl. Buy my book.
So
that was fun, though, and Rebecca did such a great job. I was sharing that video because I used Carl when she had one of her puppets, and we did an interview and had fun. And Carl will be traveling with me to the shows, except for Anaheim, only because I'm afraid to take him flying.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to take him on there. There's a lot of risk
with all the stuff I'm taking. I'm worried about him getting damaged.
And he's a very well crafted puppet. The fur on it is really cool, high quality.
I was surprised because a lot of her puppets are more smooth, and kind of like you see a traditional Muppet and stuff.
So
like that.
Tell people how to find Ruppets.
It's ruppits.com. Ruppets.
It's ITS?
I think it is. Yeah, I will have a link on Odd Musings put up as well as on the video and everything else.
Definitely check for the video.
I haven't had a chance to edit the video yet, so I want to get that together and then drop in some stuff on there. But
she's been a pretty good fixture at many Comic-Cons with her puppets. She does all different characters.
She does a lot of the standard characters. She'll have her own version of a Batman, Deadpool, some Star Wars stuff.
And she does customs. And she also did Mojo for Dominic too, for Motown Mojo.
Well, and that's what gave me the idea. I saw Mojo. I was like, I got to have her do a Carl.
Yeah.
And we talked about it last fall. And
guess what?
What?
If you bring Carl next week, we could have a puppet off with Carl and Mojo.
Okay.
Dominic and Brett can do a puppet show together.
Yeah. Like a walk-off?
Awesome.
But yeah, so that was the highlight
coming
of the show
soon, the puppet show.
But yeah, definitely the highlight was getting Carl this past weekend. I mean, seeing everybody was great and enjoyed that, but having a lot of fun and
it was fun and it worked well too. Even marketing wise for your stuff, it really opened the door for you to talk about your books to the fans. So that's really cool too.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be that's part of what I'm trying to do now as I'm moving forward with really more creator-owned products, and that is having Carl at the table will be fun with.
Yeah, so check out Ruppets, and like Brett said, we'll post the link. Now there was some major news in the geek world this weekend too.
Yeah, it was kind of a big surprise considering he's worked hard to lose weight and everything else and get healthy, but Kevin Smith had a massive heart attack.
Yep, the Widowmaker. Yeah,
and they said it was the one vein that's right up here. I guess and it was just 100% clogged.
100%.
He was having problems not feeling it. And it was starting to hit, and he went to the hospital, and they immediately took care of him.
Yeah, he's very fortunate because he was scheduled to do 2 shows, and he did the first show, but in between the sets is where he started really feeling it. And it's so interesting when you hear the stories of these because, they usually say the first time is the big one because you don't know what these symptoms are. Because you get all these weird symptoms that you wouldn't think is a heart. He was feeling nauseous.
Yeah, it's stuff like I felt last week having a cold.
Yeah. Like he said, he thought he just drank some bad milk. Yeah. And it was just like food poisoning or something. But it got bad enough that thankfully he told his crew, like, you know what, we need to go to the doctor. And they canceled the second show. and the doctor told him had he done that second show, he would have been dead.
That's crazy.
So that's where time is such of the essence. But it's not like you have like this feeling like, oh, it's my heart. There's all these other symptoms, and the last thing you're thinking is your heart.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you're feeling sick of that. Next thing you know, you're gone.
Yeah, part of it is this culture where I don't know if it's more men or whatever, but you want to power through stuff and you want to do your job. You want to follow through. You don't like canceling stuff.
Yeah.
And so sometimes like that could have been that literally was a life or death decision he made to cancel that second show.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad he did that. He seems to look good. He had surgery. They kind of cleared the blockage, and he's done a couple Facebook Live videos. And I know he's got a long, real road to recovery.
Right.
In that stuff. So I'm sure he's not going to be doing a lot of traveling for a while, but it's good to see his work. I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith. I enjoy his when he does his talks. I enjoy his movies, and so seeing something like that, it's like, man, because he's a year older than me, it's like, man, that's kind of close to home here now.
Right. Yeah, and so glad he's okay. And speaking of heart attacks, a milestone was reached. Well, is about to be reached on May 4th of this year. Dan Gorski, 64 years old, who you may know that name through that video documentary Super Size Me. Mm-hmm. Well, he's 64 years old, and he's going to be eating his 30,000th. 30,000th. I can't.
30,000th.
Big Mac.
Yes, 30,000th.
He'll be hitting Big Mac number 30,000. I can't say it. On May 4th of this year. And
now, of course, right now he can go with the Grand Mac. So he's going to make that his 30,000th.
I have a feeling he's the purist. But it didn't get into that detail. But what he did say is, he started eating. Now, this is interesting. He knows the exact date. That Big Mac must have been life-changing. On May 17th of 1972, he started eating Big Macs, and he has had 2 a day every single day. And so number 30,000 is scheduled to be May 4th, and that's the equivalent of 10.5 full-grown cows that he has eaten. So bravo to you, sir. Good job.
I see this thing, and it's funny because there was a comic strip I read years ago. Tom Balan does this book called True Story, Swear to God, and in one of the scenes talking about when he first had a Big Mac, he was like 10 years old or something like this. So this was like back in probably the early 70s, around this time, and he was like, every time he'd ask his dad for a Big Mac, he'd get a smack in the back of the head. No, you're not big enough for a Big Mac. And it's finally he was big enough, and his little brother goes, I want one too. So he smacks his little brother. No, you're not big enough for a Big Mac. So this must have been what this story was. This guy has this Big Mac for the first time, and just immediately, oh my God, that's good. And the thing is, 40 some odd years later, it's still the best tasting thing he's ever had.
I do like that he's timing it for May the 4th be with you day.
Yeah, Star Wars Day.
So that's pretty cool.
Of course, I wonder, will he have his normal 2, or will he go ahead and have 4 Big Macs? And the 4th Big Mac be with you.
And as a final note to that story, he has vowed that he will continue to eat 2 Big Macs a day until his dying day. So may you reach 60,000, sir.
Wow. Yes. I'm 94 and I'm at 60,000.
Yeah, that's the thing, though.
I blend them now.
We're always told about how to maintain your health and stuff. Like, I know a certain person who, like, cigarette smoking is so bad for you, right? And they say every cigarette takes 7 minutes. Yeah, they think every cigarette takes 7 minutes off your life. This one person I knew, she was deep into her 80s. She smoked 7 cartons a week.
Cartons?
Cartons.
That's like,
it was insane.
70 packs of cigarettes a week.
And they were the unfiltered, they were like the old style. They were like really major ones.
Lucky Strike.
I can't remember what it was, but they were unfiltered. And like, as she was finishing her cigarette, she was already lighting up the next one. And she lived to be like 89 or something. And I'm thinking, if that subtracts 7 minutes every time, was she going to live to be 304? What would have happened if she didn't smoke?
I smoked 70 packs a week.
And what's funny is,
for breakfast I had bacon.
What's funny
for lunch I had bacon, and I drank my dinner.
What's funny is she actually quit smoking for about a half a day.
Half a day
because someone she
was sleeping.
Because someone she knew passed away, and she was told it was because of the smoking. So she's like, oh no, and then she heard heard, oh no, it had nothing to do with smoking. So she's like, oh, okay. She went back to
well, here, give me 5. I got to catch up today.
Yeah. So it's just funny. You think about that. It's the same with this gentleman. He's at 30,000 Big Macs, and he's not, he's average weight. He's not anything horrible or anything. But anyway, so congratulations, sir. Keep eating those cows.
Well, and speaking of healthy stuff, let's talk about Loringer Family Chiropractic for a minute, so you can actually be healthy.
I think the chiropractic work can help with your digestion too.
Yes, so definitely with everything. And I think it helps out. It helps me out, especially because your journey to wellness begins here at Loringer Family Chiropractic. Build a healthy lifestyle with chiropractic care. They take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. They offer on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levelers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, and a full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. They're located in Belleville, Michigan, and their Dexter, Michigan office is getting a revamp to open up pretty soon. We'll be doing a live remote in April from there. But you can give them a call at their Belleville location, 734-697-4244, or visit them at LoringerFamilyChiropractic.com. If you're not in the Belleville or Dexter areas here in Michigan, give them a call or hit them up on the website. Say, I live here. Do you guys have somebody you can send me to? They know people all over the country, and they can help you out. And real quick, I don't know if Terry's listening or not, but a big shout out to Terry. She had unfortunate diagnosis last week, but things are looking really good. She had unfortunately missed her Disney trip, but her daughter's down there right now with Dr. Jen.
Her health is what's important.
And and I think good, she's got faith, and God's going to bring her through this. And I look forward to seeing Terry back at work again, not because she needs to work, but because I miss seeing her, and she's an awesome person, and definitely want her to get better and keep doing well, so we can see her smiling face at Loringer Family Chiropractic. Awesome. One of our great sponsors.
Definitely.
So we got Jeff here with us.
Yes.
He's been kind of quiet for a while. And
I didn't have a whole lot to throw in on the conversation.
Just feel free to jump in.
Yeah, I don't do puppets, and I don't do Big Macs. So.
Although I think Rebecca could make a really cool Ruppet of Jeff.
Oh, I think it'd be awesome. You gotta get the goatee just right.
Yeah.
Now the only thing is the hair would have to be changeable because he changes the color in the hair all the time.
You were green this weekend, were you?
I had a little bit of blue left.
Blue, that's what it was.
Now he's into red and orange. He's got the fire going on.
Fire. My stylist.
Awesome.
My
so it goes
stylist,
from clean cut marine to this.
Oh yeah. This part of the transition.
I think it's awesome that you come out of the Marines and you're just like, this is who I'm going to be. This is going to be my person, and boom, there it is. So
So for those who don't know, Jeff, it was 24 years in the Marines. Almost 24 years, and then you've retired from there, and then you went on and got this awesome opportunity with Nickelodeon Animation, and we'll get into that too. But tell us a little bit.
Let's take you back to 1988, graduating high school. We're in Royal Oak. So you're graduating high school. What made you decide the Marine Corps?
It's like in that time, the pre-internet days, the world was really tiny. We didn't have things.
We played in the middle of the street with glass.
Right.
We were gone all day, and our folks didn't know where we were at, and they couldn't track us on the night boat.
Kids.
And when we danced, we waved a finger.
Jeff definitely has the voice down he's ready for his 80s.
Yeah. He's got the rocking chair we heard too. So
there we were. But no. So graduated high school. No real prospect of college. I mean, we had a local community college type scene.
You're up in Traverse City, right?
In that area, yeah. And at that point, you're graduated. You end up on the recruiter's grad list, and I remember you get the first phone call from the Navy. Hey, I would like to come down and join the Navy. And I was like, nah. And of course, I get some weird sense of if I joined anything, it'd be the Marines, because that's my grandpa and my dad were both Marines.
Oh, there you go.
And the Navy recruiter went right down the hallway to the Marine recruiter. Went, here you go. And
so they actually help each other out.
Oh yeah.
It's always a fun rivalry too between the branches too. I always hear I told you my friend is in the Navy.
Right.
So.
Well, the Navy Marines are kind of handed.
We are.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We look at the academy. Annapolis is both. Right. You have the choice of either Navy or Marines when you graduate. So so it's the Army Navy game. It's Air Force is sitting outside going, we want to be in a game too. Yeah. Should have left the Army.
It's a fun rivalry between everyone though, but a loving rivalry.
Recruiter calls. And just the timing of, it's like, look, I got nothing going on, so yeah, sure, let's join the Marine. But back then, you could what they call almost direct ship. So from the day I walked in the recruiter's office, 2 weeks later, I was staying in San Diego with my head shaved. Like,
what did I do?
This happened. Okay, we're here.
So basically,
this is the thing. Yeah, right. But I mean, it definitely all turned out for the best. You do,
Now, when
4 years.
So when you went in, you were looking at just the 4-year stint.
Sure.
And what made you decide to stay on and do a career?
Again, it's just like sort of the timing and the way life is moving along.
Because you were in, and then a couple years into being in is when the first Gulf War thing broke out. The police action or whatever they called it. So.
Yeah. I mean, when I went in '89, we were, do the air quotes, peacetime. The Cold War was coming to an end. Our premise for all the action movies was coming to a close, and our big rival.
Fortunately, we have Die Hard from then.
That's right.
New action would just take care of our own people.
Yeah. So I mean, when Desert Storm came along, I was with an infantry unit down in North Carolina, and we went and did that, and I was like, okay, well, cool. And and then we did deployment to Okinawa, and it's like, so you're traveling, you're a young 19, 20-year-old
chance
kid.
to see the world. And,
absolutely. And at that point it's fun. Revisionist history here. You're glossing over all of the time.
Well, we don't want to get into too much of the detail on stuff, but just kind of the gist of what you were doing then.
Yeah.
You're going for 4 years. 89 to 93 basically. It's like, oh yeah, what I'm going to do after 93 is you just stayed in.
Yeah, I actually did get out for a little bit, and I came home to Detroit.
Okay.
And I got back sort of in with the reserve unit downtown when they were at Broadhead, right outside of Belle Isle.
Okay.
And from there, the active duty Marines that I worked with were like, you need to go back in. You're too hardwired for this. So they helped me out, got me back in on active duty in 1994, and then after that, it was the train left the station. And
I had a cousin when the Army did the same thing. He got out for a little while, went to college, and went right back in and finished out his career. So So I mean, it's an interesting decision because most people who go in, they do their 4 years and they're out.
And that's the majority of folks, which is perfectly
nothing wrong with that. They've done their service. And they come out and they move on to the next phase.
Right.
And you stayed in. You did 24 years.
Yep. Just a little bit under 24 total, but
And then of course you came right back to Detroit.
Well, and the way that worked out like that, I guess, wasn't necessarily planned so much. I mean, so in 2006, 2007, my wife, who's also a Marine, we were stationed in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And we had transfer orders to go to New Orleans, and we worked a deal out where we could come up here because our oldest son was getting ready to go into high school.
Okay.
And we figured, let's get him into northern Michigan or, Michigan for high school rather than New Orleans, whatever worked for our family. So we were actually stationed in Selfridge. Okay. And that's how we ended up in this part of the state.
All right.
Because I hadn't been really here since '89.
Yeah. So you met your wife in the Marines.
Yep, we met in the Marines.
So was she assigned to you?
Yes, I went down to supply, and we were issued to each other.
Here's your wife.
So having two Marines married, does that help or hurt disagreements?
It makes them very lively.
Nice.
They're both going, I could kill you at 800 yards.
That probably helps them, though. If it's like, you know what? She's serious.
It's probably when she gets quiet that she's like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
She's not talking now. She went into sniper mode.
So how long was she in the Marines?
She was in also just...
about the same length? Oh, great.
So you both retired from the Marine Corps then? Around the same time then?
Yeah. The timing was working out where... So when we were stationed at Selfridge, we transferred from here to Boston.
Okay.
And I knew when we left Detroit going to Boston, the unit I was going to was getting ready to prep for deployment to Afghanistan.
Okay.
So while we were in Boston, my wife had retired, or put in a retirement package, and she had actually come back here to Michigan because we had rented our house in Chesterfield.
Okay.
So we're back in the house.
So you can basically get the home going.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And so when I returned from Afghanistan, then I had put my retirement package in too, because I knew coming back from that deployment,
you'd reached the end. That was your time,
right?
Yeah.
We didn't really have a plan necessarily. It was just kind of like the timing of how it worked out, and with my wife's retirement, at that point I'm a master sergeant. It's like, all right, that's way more than I ever anticipated. If you go back to 1992 until
tell young little Jeffy, Jeffy, you're going to be a master sergeant someday. Yay!
As the saying goes, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
Although kids nowadays are like, but were you ever a master chief?
Different Marines.
Halo.
Right.
Those are fake ones.
Right. But so then, that's how in 2012 I ended up back here in Michigan.
And that's about when I met you, I think, somewhere after, within about a year or so of that. So.
Yeah, I mean, because, I drew, as like a high school kid, and then once I got into the Marines, I kind of drew for a little while, but it was, just more fun recreational stuff. There wasn't anything serious.
Nice.
But then, it was like at the time I'm a heavy metal guy, so it's like drawing skulls and that, and it's like, oh, well, draw me tattoos. So, I got a bunch of friends running around with, the Death Before Dishonor skull with a knife in the eye socket.
Nice.
Because that's what we gravitate to.
That's right.
Very cool. Very
but
cool.
then, it's like you got to a certain point where it's like, as I got more senior, family, life, and then drawing just went by the wayside.
Right.
And I pretty much all but stopped drawing around like 2000.
Okay.
It just was no time for it.
Well, yeah, you got your family, Marines, everything else. It's a pretty busy life as it is.
Yeah. And, and then I wasn't even doing it for myself, just for fun. I just stopped. So when I retired in 2012, I hadn't even, I kind of flirted with the idea right as I was about to retire, but I was like, too old, forget it. So when we got back here to Detroit, I did an administrative job in the Marine Corps, and of course you try to find the transition to a civilian version of that, which I didn't really want to do, but at that point you're like, well, this is the safe choice. And if you remember back then, there were all those hire a hero job fairs going on.
Right, that was always going on.
And so a friend of mine, Chris Klomchek, he was our transitional sort of liaison. He would help, transitioning Marines find a civilian job now that, either you're getting out or retiring. And I remember Chris going, so let me get this straight. Something you are eminently qualified for and have 23 years of experience doing, you don't want to do. And I was like, that's right. He's like, I don't know what you want from me. Like, I don't know either. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. So he helped Heather and I find a short-term contract job out in Southfield.
Okay.
And it was at that point where I'm doing that slog down 94 to 696 all the way out, to this place we worked at, and then doing that same trip back at home. And it was like, I want to just jump out of a 12-story window. Like, this is misery.
Just driving up here once a week for the show, I couldn't imagine myself doing that every day for a job I don't like.
Right.
I don't mind I like doing it for this, but every day we like back and forth, and it's for something you don't want to do. It's like, it gets brutal.
And there was like an epiphany moment. It was like in a cold, snowy March day as I'm staring out the window of this office building, just looking at 696 pile up, and I'm just like, what is happening in my life right now? And thankfully, the job went great. The contract ended, and parted ways amicably. Hey, did I do a good job? Yep. All right, perfect. And so when I got home, for the first time in my adult life, I have no job. I have no vision of what the next thing is. And for somebody that was driven with a mission, constantly go, to be like...
What's interesting is, so what you're saying is 24 years in the Marines, serving during wartime, was easier.
Yes.
Than a 9-to-5 job and driving on 696.
I would live in Afghanistan before I would want to drive on 696.
The roads are better, right?
Absolutely.
Pure Michigan. Wow. So how about we do this before we transition into the inspiration that you found to go and let's cover our final sponsor here, International Minute Press.
Talk about them for just a minute here. They are located in Plymouth, Michigan. International Minute Press. They print, promote, and design you. Artist owned and operated. Joe and his team understand what it takes for emerging and established artists like Jeff to get noticed. From ash cans and rat cards to posters, banners, and Comic-Con booth materials, IMP of Plymouth has the tools to help you stand out. Contact them today for a competitive price quote. Mention Odd Musings. You receive 20% off your next order. They are located at 1058 South Main Street in Plymouth, Michigan. You can give them a call at 734-414-6203 or visit them online at myprinter.intlminutepress.com. We have a link at Odd Musings along with all our other sponsors, and check them out and spend some money and make them happy so they spend more money with us.
So you're doing the daily grind here, living in misery, but there was an inspiration that you found back home. A certain photograph kept looking at you whenever you went to pay your water bill, was it?
Right. So we live in Chesterfield, New Baltimore, and I'm generally aware of animation, and I've always been a fan of cartoons, even though I might not have been drawing. So as I would go to the Chesterfield Township office to pay my water bill, there would be a picture of Butch Hartman in the little trophy case there. Right. And if you know, Butch Hartman is the creator of such classics as Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy, Bunsen is a Beast. So knowing that, it was like, wow, this is great. Somebody that's made all these amazing cartoons is from this tiny little lakeside community.
Same town you're living in.
This is ridiculous.
Right.
So also about this time, my wife sees me in this, spiraling turmoil. She has landed a new career path, and I'm, scratching the stubble at the kitchen table, like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, well, you always like drawing. Why don't you try doing that again? And that was the spark that, combined with, these little signs of, hey, you need to kind of pay attention here. So I started, breaking out the old dusty sketchbook and the nub pencil, and muscle memory wasn't there.
What happened? I suck now.
You lose it. Yep, I lost it.
But it comes back.
Yeah, I guess so. With anything, I guess, practice and pencil mileage will help out. Nice. But, so I had my education benefits from the Marines. I had planned on going the safe road and getting some sort of an administrative HR type degree. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to roll the dice, and I'm going to go for illustration. And so I had gone, down to Macomb and checked out the Mackin department. It was really great. And I was like, all right, this will work. It's close to home. I don't have to, drive a whole lot. And so, I'm going to Macomb for, a creative imaging and illustration degree. A few years into that. And then this is about the time again where it's like paying the water bill and you're seeing Butch Hartman. And now I'm more in tune with, that whole, all right. Yeah, but again, animation doesn't even come into the picture because we're in Detroit. Like, we're 2,500 miles away from where cartoons are. But I find this video online that's linked from the Nick Animation website. That's Butch Hartman, and it's a Meet the Creator video. Okay. And I watched that, and I'm just like, again, super inspired. Like, wow, this gentleman did all this stuff, and he came from here. Right. And there's like 20 more videos on the site, and I watch every single one of them. And I'm just like, this is, I mean, wow, great. And I just happened to scroll down to the bottom of the page and see the work here link. I'm like, right, yeah, this is ever going to happen. And it was at that point I found the internship link, and I read the criteria for it. I was like, read the criteria again. I'm like, I'm qualified to apply for the internship. Yeah. There's nothing.
Well, you were a college student?
I'm a college student.
It doesn't specify age.
That was it. I'm like, it doesn't say how old you can't be. You just have to meet these core criteria. Right. And I had also found
this is like the De Niro movie where he was an intern.
Yeah. So intern, and the Owen Wilson Vince Vaughn one,
right? Yeah, the Google one. Yeah,
the Google. I am very googly. Yeah, that was me.
Were you trying to put stuff on the line?
Yeah, on the line.
The other interns are like, "How old are you?"
When did they start to adopt a geezer program?
But
so you applied to this, and
I applied.
The interesting thing about this, and when we were talking previously about this, this is actually a very highly sought after internship.
Yeah, it's the number one internship.
Right. So you applied out into this out of ignorance. And you had mentioned, had you known how hard it was to get into this program, you probably wouldn't have even tried.
Right.
Yeah. So I find that interesting because there's really a moral to the story there about how we can allow our own knowledge to limit us sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I had shared, in the interviews with the people who founded Lucasfilm back when George was creating Star Wars for the first time, they were all college kids, and they said we were too stupid to know we couldn't make this movie.
Right.
All the experts told them this movie can't be made, but they were too dumb to know this. And what do you know? They made it, and they invented all new techniques because they weren't ingrained in the previous way of thinking. And so, sometimes we can let our brain overthink something and talk ourselves out of trying. So it's awesome that you didn't know because that allowed you to apply to this, and you got it.
Yep.
So you get there. What was this like? What it must have been like, when you walked there.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. If you're into that world, cartoons and and it's exactly like it exceeds your expectations. Like what's it going to be like? And then you show up in that very first day, like you're actually permitted because it's a closed studio. That they're not open to the public. You can just walk in and get a tour. So that first day, the gate goes up and you're allowed in the inside, and you see just the branding and
all the cool stuff. I mean, you've shared some pictures online.
Yeah,
and
amazing.
And just seeing some of the stuff you were able to share was like just phenomenal. I was like, I'd love to go walk this place.
The very first person that I accidentally bump into as I'm walking into the building, and you're like, huh? And the security guy's like, that way, new guy. And I round the corner, and I almost run into, like, physically Billy West.
Oh, nice.
He's leaving the studio, and I'm like,
do you know who you are?
Yeah, right.
Red M&M.
So yeah, but from there, and that was that was just a little over 2 years ago. Presently, as we sit here,
and what's really cool too is the first production you worked on is Pig Goat Banana Cricket.
Yes,
which is a cartoon you actually were enjoying before you even applied.
I was
to the internship.
Yeah, sitting back here in Michigan in the summer of 2015. I would pull my son out of bed on Saturday mornings, like Pig Goat's on. We got to go watch this thing. And
does Banana Cricket mind that he gets cut out? People just say Pig Goat as a shortcut.
That's kind of that's our shorthand for it, Pig Goat.
Yeah, poor Banana Cricket, always left out.
And that is two separate characters, Banana and Cricket.
And
Cricket. I have no clue on this.
It's four.
This is where I'm showing my age.
He's going Pig, no, and Banana.
I'm still on Ren and Stimpy. I still love Ren and Stimpy.
We put it on the line.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh wait, is Pig and Goat two separate characters too?
Yes, Pig. The poster. Yeah.
Technically, it should be.
I thought Pig Goat was some strange creature, and Banana Cricket was some other strange creature.
It should technically be Pig, comma, Goat, comma, Banana, comma.
Punctuation matters.
Just for Scott.
Cool. But yeah. So watch Pig Goat from here. And then applied for the internship, got the internship, but you knew, like, going in, I had gotten a phone call. We set up a Skype interview. That was the first time that I got really scared. Like, applying was easy because that was just an anonymous send it through a website, and then it was like, well, we want to do a Skype interview with you, and I'm like, okay, now you're.
Meanwhile, you just recently learned what a selfie was, so you're like, what's Skype?
I knew Skype because we done that for Afghanistan.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but nobody ever batted an eye. They were like, oh, all right. Well, I mean, you're not 26, what we're used to, but nobody was like,
Well, I mean, I think it's got to be one of the things that was kind of endearing to him, was the fact that it was like, okay, we have this guy here who, after 24 years in the Marines, is studying illustration, applies for this internship. You're bringing a whole different perspective that they're not going to see there.
Right.
And I think that definitely is, I mean, if I was on their side trying to find somebody, I was like, this is a guy we need because he's going to bring a different vision than we're getting from these other guys that are all studying the same thing, but they're young.
This Marine's going to whip these artists into shape.
All right. Well, no, just to clarify, the internship it's not art related. So you're going in.
You were going.
It's production internship, right? Yeah. But that again was almost something that I self-limited myself. I'm not good enough to go to Nickelodeon. Like I can't draw at that level. But you didn't know that it's not going to be an art position. So
now one thing that was really cool too is now here you are a shining new intern, and you bump into the real life version of that picture that inspired you. Right. You run into Butch Hartman there. Yep. And so tell us about that.
So brand new shiny intern. I had actually shaved off, so I the goatee I had during the interviews was way longer. And the day before I showed up for the internship, I nicked it all off. And they were like, "Oh, you didn't have to shave.
We hired you for your beard."
Like glorious beard. But so there we are in the coffee area, and Mr. Hartman comes up to grab his morning cup of coffee. I was like, of course I recognize him. Been staring at his picture.
I've been stalking you from Chesterfield.
But that's how I introduced him. Hey, I'm Jeff, and I'm from New Baltimore. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he was blown away that someone from New Baltimore is there.
Exactly. So that opened the door to the conversation.
Yeah. And meanwhile, you're creating jealousy, and all the long-term people are like, I don't get to talk to him. Why is this new guy talking to him? That's cool. That's awesome.
So it was a blast.
Yeah. So you get to meet your hero in a way, and you've gotten to somewhat know him a bit over the years there. So that's cool. And your internship was 6 months?
It was a 10-week internship. So from February, I was spring 2016 semester.
Okay.
And at the end of the 10 weeks, I was offered a 3-week extension. So I called, and at this point, I had just drove out there by myself. My family's still back here in Michigan. And I called my wife. I was like, hey, I got an extension. Is that cool? And she's like, yeah, that's fine. So at the end of those 3 weeks, then that was when it was like, okay. And I was interning, and I think we clarified this, I was interning on Pig Goat.
Right.
Yeah. So then, due to some personnel shifts, and, a friend of mine, Pig Goat was going to wrap, meaning that production was going to end at the end of the summer. And, I got offered a production assistant position full-time. Okay. So that was another 3 months. And, another phone call home, hey, got a job. And she's like, yeah, all right. I knew you were going to get hired. The faith, that support from back
it makes
home.
all the difference.
Well, I think that's the big difference is you had a home base that was like, go for it. Get follow the stream, see where it takes you.
Play the hot hand. And,
Because what's the alternative? He comes back and goes, I don't know what to do now.
Right, yeah.
So we talked a little bit off air about this. So you were working on Pig Goat Banana Cricket, and that was one production. And now a new production was coming through that you were actually hired on for. Talk a little bit about that production process and how things are assigned based on production, not necessarily working for Nickelodeon Studios itself.
Right. So, at least from the experience I've had so far, is it's, you get a contract to work on the show, and you sometimes have the end date for either that season or just the term of that production.
Right.
And I knew going in with Pig Goat I was going to have an end date in August.
Okay.
And it was like, I'm happy with that. And then as the end of August started coming around, it was like, hey, come interview on this. And that's how I got to go to another production. And and you just kind of keep riding that wave, and that's just how the business works.
Yeah, and then when that show comes to its natural end, then if you're working on that show, obviously it's time for you to look for another production to work on.
Right. And and at that point, you've made enough friends at network, and and as people leave one studio, everything is in Burbank. I mean, all of the major TV studios are there. Nickelodeon, DreamWorks, Cartoon Network, Disney, Fox. They're all right there within 15 miles. Yeah. So it's easy for people to leave from one studio, and as their time comes up on one show, they have a friend at another studio. Hey, we need XYZ. Come over here. And so then that's how
it's a small community, like we talked about with Comic-Cons. Yeah. And I even heard Rob Paulson talk about it as the voice actors, how they go from like Nickelodeon to Cartoon Network to this. They're all contract employees too, so they're just bouncing around everywhere too.
Well, even the people we know who work with Disney World and Universal, they'll bounce around between the theme parks even. When openings happen, it's like, okay, I'm going to go there or there. It's pretty cool that the artists can they watch out for each other. Because,
absolutely. And, and everybody is just the nicest bunch of people that I met. Everybody was super cool, and I had an absolute blast. And the timing just worked out good. That the production that I was just finished up on at the beginning of this month, the timing just worked out good for me to transition back home for a little while, because again, I went it was like a weird bizarro Gilligan's Island. I went out for 10 weeks that turned into 2 years later.
Now you worked on you mentioned it hasn't come out yet, but Pinky Malinky. Yeah, that's one that you worked on
show.
Coming out. So
any idea when that is coming out?
I don't. We like you said, I'm here, so we finished production.
Now how many episodes did that one have?
I believe we did 60
episodes. Okay, I know a lot of them get like a 60 episode.
So what is that, a 3-year run, or is that?
It just depends on how.
Do they typically do like 20 episodes a season?
It varies. I know. I remember back in with the 80s cartoons we had on the afternoons, there was like 65 episode issues, and they were running them straight through. And then as things have changed over the years, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, and that they have their seasons, but they pretty much are running them all at the same time because they want to get the entire run done. So you're not coming back and have to re-ramp up, because again, hiring guys like you, it's going to be okay, we let you go, and then we got to get people back, so you don't want to be constantly doing that cycle. So they usually do their order runs a little different than normal television that's not animated.
Well, and the interesting thing about animation that I learned was that it takes so long to make a single episode. Like most cartoons now are like 11 to 22 minutes, depending on the format that they're running. And from the time that they, any show like writes a premise to go through all the boarding and design work and coloring, oversee studio animation, return that, package it up, and by the time you see it on your TV, like there have been at least 100 people that have worked on that at some point, and it's taken probably 6 months or longer to make.
Unless you're South Park, which does it in a week,
which is great. Have you ever seen 6 Days Air? That's an amazing.
Which is why they can put jokes in there. But it's something that happened last week.
But the difference they do, it's all completely computerized now. But they've also have everything already set up backgrounds. They have everything's redesigned. Where a lot of the other animation, they're changing things up all the time. South Park's a little bit different. It's very static in that,
but the way they structured themselves was so that they could do this insane.
And they've done that quite a bit of times. Like this happened on a Thursday, and by next Wednesday they're talking about it.
This is just crazy.
But you get into like The Simpsons or Nickelodeon cartoons, things like that. Those are 6 to 9 months out. You talk about Simpsons, it's like 9 months minimum for that. Family Guy, all those, because of all the work that goes into it. The overseas animation, bring it back, all the edits, the prep and work and all that stuff. So
and I mean, you figure any cartoon that's out there, whether or not it's your particular taste or whatever, clearly somebody decided that this needed and was worth making. We went through development regardless of network. Let's do this thing. Also, and you go through all that work, and then some little kid on internet. This show sucks. I just want to reach through the internet.
But one thing that's interesting too with the production times and stuff is now we live in the age of binge watching, and like going back and watching like He-Man, for instance, and realizing like 60% of it, when you watch an episode back to back to back, how much of that just reused animation over and over and over. You don't notice it when you're little watching it once a week. When you watch it 5 episodes back to back, it's like it's the same episode.
It's the same running.
Like I bought the the complete Hong Kong Fooey collection.
Oh, I have that. Yes,
it's like 17 episodes. You're like, wait, what? Hong Kong Phooey ran forever.
Right. That was in 17
hundreds of episodes.
When we were kids, though, it only aired on Saturday morning.
Right.
So by the time 17 weeks went by and they re-aired the first episode, we had forgot about it.
Exactly.
And we watched it. It felt new for the last 10 years.
Right.
The complete Yogi Bear collection. Here's 38 episodes. You're like, wait, this is impossible. This show ran for years.
It was on for 60 years.
Well, right. It was like the Jetsons had literally only one season in the 60s that ran all the way until they did another season like in the late 80s.
Crazy.
Wow. I didn't know that either.
Did you know that DC Comics has sort of rehashed some of those old Hanna-Barbera properties, and they're like these wicked looking cool.
Yeah, it's like the Flintstones. He's like this big giant caveman dude, and
I've seen
a little
that,
more adult themes in that.
Yeah,
of course I get the
very
sketch covers and I draw the classic Fred Allen all the time. So
well, they even came out with a really cool Masters of the Universe crossover too that they did, where Skeletor I think conquered Eternia, and then He-Man came here. Or there was some storyline there, I forget, but it was really cool artwork that they did. And
the Toys That Made Us. Have you seen that?
Yes,
I have to. I have it on my. I have it on my to watch list.
It's like 4 episodes. It's worth.
The problem is on Netflix. I have like so much to watch.
I mean, you got to prioritize.
I'll tell you what.
I
gotta
watch it.
You really got to watch the Barbie one. The Barbie one, I think, is one of the better ones of them all. They're all really good. I mean, they talk about how Star Wars influenced G.I. Joe. You get like the He-Man toys talking about that, but the Barbie one really kind of opens up on the things that could have happened, and that really set up everything I think that we see from toys to this day.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, while you were over there at Nickelodeon, like you mentioned, like you had you got to meet some cool people. You had one really cool encounter with someone who adopted Detroit as their second home. Little rock star, people might know.
Well, yeah. I mean, sure.
But it's just cool that you're in an environment where someone like that just happens to be hanging out.
Right.
So can we say it?
Yeah. I mean.
So you got to meet Gene Simmons.
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, like I know for me and Brett, like we got to meet Dee Snider last year.
Right.
And that was a big deal for me. It was like, oh my God, it's Dee Snider. You know, and he's talking to me. How cool. You have a fanboy moment, you know.
Yeah.
Because for you, that was you grew up on their album.
I did, but honestly though, I mean, like as cool as it was to be like, oh hey, like I had more of a rush getting to meet Tom Kinney.
Voice of SpongeBob.
That's really cool too. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because those for them, that's their workplace.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
They're just at work.
It took me a minute to come down off of the seat. Yeah. They're like, this is a professional environment.
They're not here for autographs.
Right. Exactly. This isn't a con.
Did you meet Patrick?
Here.
You met SpongeBob. Did you meet Patrick?
Yep. Nice guy.
Did you go like you were on Coach?
Yeah.
What's funny is I never realized that, but once somebody told me that, now I was like, oh my God, it is him.
And that's his voice. He's not
even changing his voice.
That's got to be the best, right? Yeah. Like you don't have to, I mean, they're all actors. Like they definitely do.
Right.
No,
they're good. They're all really good.
But but if you can be an actor and then just your normal voice is what,
like Patrick Warburton,
right?
One of my all-time favorite voices, though, is Skeletor, and his insults. Somebody put together all his insults into a YouTube video. Yeah. He's like, "You muscle-bound ninny," or I forget what he's like. All these like the silliest.
It sounds like the Monarch from Adventure Brothers.
I think the Monarch was supposed to be Skeletor in some way.
Right.
Now, kind of a little side thing though. Cool thing of being out there for 2 years is you're a metalhead,
right?
And every time I turned on Facebook and I saw you were at the Whiskey.
Oh man, I lived in West Hollywood.
You saw tons of great bands there.
Yeah.
So I mean, any cool stories from that?
Oh,
I mean, we only have a few minutes. But, I know it seemed like you were there like 2-3 times a week at least.
Yeah. I mean, it's the legendary, right? Like growing up as a metalhead, and you only see the Sunset Strip from 2,500 miles.
I mean, the one time I went out there and we went down, it was like just the coolest thing to see because, and when we didn't go in there, but it was just because we were in a tour bus thing and it was past. But to think that there's all the bands that came through there, like the Doors when they were nobodies,
exactly.
Were huge at the Whiskey for 2 years.
They're at the Whiskey,
still the same stage, huh?
Very cool. So I thought it was the coolest thing you've hitting all these bands at on Sunset Strip and all that stuff is just like the coolest thing. I mean, what a great experience for a metalhead to not just be into working at Nickelodeon, but then like, oh wait a minute, I can go here. Oh cool, let's go.
Very cool.
So you must have had like a season pass pass to the whiskey or something. Here's my pass.
So before we run out of time, how do people find you online? Where? How do they see your art? How do they follow you?
I am on the line at
that newfangled internet.
Yes, I'm on the webs. So the usual Instagram is probably at Sornigraphics, SORNIGRAFIX.
Excellent. We'll get a link up on Odd Musings for everybody.
And then I have a portfolio website, JeffTunes.com.
Jeff Tunes.
Jeff Tunes.
And is that JEFF or
it is
GEO?
No, just
Geoff.
It's like Geoff.
Very cool. And anything scheduled coming up? Any Comic-Cons? Any appearances? Or you're just living the dream right now in retirement, semi-retirement until you decide to go back to work?
I've literally been back in Michigan for a little over 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but,
enjoying your family and getting
back
relearn who they are.
Right.
Who is this man coming?
He's getting some real Faygo and chili dogs and
very cool.
And all the cool Michigan stuff.
Yeah. Potholes and new rims.
Yeah, you don't get that in California, right?
No.
You just get earthquakes.
It's such a myth. Like, I was there for 2 years. I never felt it.
Never felt one.
Never felt one.
I had one.
Everything is on fire in California. No, it's not. That over there is on fire. We're fine over here.
We live in the smart area. We don't go where everything burns.
No, everything just falls on the ground.
Well, very cool. So, thank you for being on the show here.
For having me over,
moving forward here, what's coming up for us here? We got WonderCon in
a few weeks. We got WonderCon.
We'll be in Anaheim, California.
You've got the event coming up where Alan's going to get his head shaved.
St. Baldrick's on March 10th. Our very own Alan Tong, and he's doing this with our 501st group. He'll be getting his head shaved. They're trying to raise money. So if you go to the St. Baldrick's site and look for the 501st Great Lakes Garrison, you'll be able to find their donation page on there.
Awesome.
And donate to a great cause. They work towards a cure for childhood cancer. So a lot of people will be getting their heads shaved out there.
Yep.
And now I'll be out there in costume.
You'll be there, but also raising money. How's your running thing?
I haven't checked on the amounts yet. Okay. Usually this time of year is pretty slow. Usually as it gets closer. But I'm raising money through CrowdRise for orphanage in Thailand that we support through our church. It gets the kids off the streets and away from the sex trafficking industry. So I'll be posting some links on that too and doing some videos coming up with all my runs. Goal is to hit 1,200 miles this year. So doing well. I'm only 1 week behind on my run. I'm 25 miles behind right now because I got sick there that one whole week. So I'll be okay though. I'll get that caught up. I got 10 months left.
And being 60 degrees last couple days.
I got to run outside. That was heaven. Hate the treadmill. So it's so nice to be outside.
Awesome.
He's like, you probably don't run anymore. You're like, I did that in the military.
I'm actually jealous of your running. I would love to still run.
Well,
but,
you can join me. We can do a walk.
I don't know what your pace is. I'm slow. I'm
slow. I get it done. That's all I've asked.
I'll just watch you guys do it on video.
Yeah. I have on our treadmill, I put a TV in front of ours at home, and my wife had got me those virtual running trail videos.
Yep, those are cool.
And she actually, this was before I went out to California, she got me the Los Angeles one. So I can now still kind of, if I feel homesick for LA, I can still run down Hollywood Boulevard.
It's really
cool. Boulevard.
Some of these
video and recognize stuff now.
With the internets and all that stuff and the technology and treadmills now too, sometimes when I'm on the road, the hotels will have these high-end treadmills where you can pick a location anywhere in the world and they have these videos loaded. But what's cool is then they have these avatars and all the other people around the world who are running at the same time, they'll be in there. So you can pace with each other.
Oh, wow.
And you'll see them and you can pass them. It's really cool that there is this combination of live video with these computer generated avatars that represent each of us, and it'll have the names of the person and where they're at. Like if they're from Boston or wherever they're running in the world, you see it listed with their name. So it's pretty cool. It just makes them a little more fun, because that's awesome. Treadmills are just awful. So
Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
So much. Really glad you got to come out and so we could catch up on what's been going on with you, and look forward to whatever the future brings. And maybe someday we'll have you come back out just to hang out with us again. Not have to talk about just your life, but just have fun, because we had a great time today.
Yeah, I'd love it. That'd be great.
Awesome. Anything else, Scott, real quick?
Oh, that's it on my end, and Jeff, looking forward to.
Thanks again, man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Dominic, take us out, man.